Ready to find your flow? AFSA's got you covered.
That's right. The hands-on training lab in Richardson, Texas is where you trade PowerPoints for pipe wrenches. Real tools, real systems, and real experience you can actually use.
And if you're ready to test your skills, check out the hands-on NFPA 25 workshops, where you'll inspect, test, and maintain live sprinkler systems and fire pumps. No simulations, no fluff, just pressure, flow, and know-how.
It's the perfect way to get under pressure without cracking under it.
So get fired up and register today at firesprinkler.org. Spots fill faster than a charged branch line.
AFSA, where you don't just learn the code, you live it. Welcome to the K Factor podcast, where we turn up the heat on all things fire protection. Brought to you by the American Fire Sprinkler Association, this podcast sparks conversations about the latest technology, trends, and tools shaping the industry. Join the AFSA tech team as we fan the flames of innovation in fire safety.
Welcome to another episode of the K Factor podcast. We're here with Philip Pope with Telgian Engineering Consulting, Regional Practice Leader.
Big title.
Yeah, what in the world does that mean?
I'm basically the regional manager.
Okay.
So we're divided up into several offices from East Coast to West Coast, and I'm luckily enough to land here in Dallas. So
nice.
My region stretches basically from South Texas all the way up into Kansas and surrounding states, and then we have offices in California, Seattle, Phoenix, Delaware, and Atlanta and Chicago.
Okay.
So, and then we have people spread out in between all those offices.
Awesome. We're really excited to get you on because I feel like we talk about consultants and engineering and kind of understand Telgian and what is your day-to-day, what do you do?
Basically, what I do is I'm kind of a go-between between the architect, the owner of the projects, and we do design. We go out and do a lot of the upfront work, and then we pass that information along, do our designs, interface with the AHJs, kind of get a lot of the groundwork out of the way. So when the permits go out, the fire alarm, the sprinkler contractor get their drawings done and go to get all the install, and then afterwards they basically have a roadmap of what needs to be done. So when they go get that COI, it's a quick check.
So are you doing hazard analysis and design?
We're doing hazard analysis. We're doing the code consulting, whether that be just the regular NFPA 13, whether that's the high pulse storage requirements. So we're looking at the full project, knowing the ins and outs, like what might be a snag that the regular local contractor may not know about. And that way, it's kind of give them a roadmap to get everything completed as quickly as possible.
So you're looking at just fire sprinkler, alarm?
Fire sprinkler, we're looking at alarm. We do security consulting for large corporations. We're kind of looking at the top to bottom.
So what's your relationship look like with contractors?
So our relationship is basically we brought in on the front end with the architect or the owner, doing a lot of the front end work, doing the hazard analysis, and then passing that information along to the contractor, and so that they know what the criteria is ahead of time. They're not having to spin and grind all their time trying to figure out what the code says. We've done a lot of that work ahead of time. And then we want them to come and ask us questions. If they don't necessarily understand why we picked the criteria that we did, come ask us. We're open door policy. So we did the design in hopes of making it easier for them, more streamlined.
So you've got a wide range of region that you're...
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing not projects just in Dallas or Texas in general. I'm doing projects out in California. Our company is doing projects all throughout the U.S. and Mexico. So we're seeing a lot of different jurisdiction requirements, a lot of different hazards, all over the place.
So are you looking mostly at those jurisdictional requirements, or do you use the latest and greatest? That's hard to manage.
Yeah, we're heavily involved in fire testing throughout for different projects. So we're taking that knowledge that we're testing, and then we're going and looking at the holistic of NFPA 13 and trying to use that knowledge to design the best that we can. And you're getting into FM codes as well. So there's a little bit of
FM requirements.
Oh yeah, fun FM requirements. So it's trying to, if it's a property that's insured, when you start getting into the insurance world, a lot of them are covered by FM, so they have kind of their own rules that they want it followed. So you're trying to take those and apply them to the local jurisdictions.
Kind of balance it for the owner.
Yep.
So if we were going to make a K-Factor warehouse, we decided for some reason this podcast really blew up, right? And we were going to have the K-Factor podcast warehouse. At what point of the game would we bring in a company like Telgian?
We want to be brought in on the very front end when you're looking at what your design's going to be, what type of building, what kind of commodities you're bringing in.
We're going Group A plastics at this one.
We want to be on. Awesome. Let's pick the hardest. We want to be on that front end conversation to say, hey, if you tweak it this way, we can design something that's a little bit more simpler, hopefully, and cost effective.
Okay.
And so not bringing us in at the end where you've already installed racks, you've already installed the building, and then that's when the fire marshal comes in and says, what are you guys doing? Did you even look at what you were putting in here? There's no way I'm giving you a COI. And then you got to bring us in, or your local contractor, and you're working from behind. You've got the owner yelling at you like, why am I not open? You've got the contractor saying, man, I'm paying delay fees now. I'm getting... so that's where we want to be brought in at the very beginning.
So I keep picking up on a word that you've said, you want to be brought in early on. Realistically, when are you? Typically,
we're an afterthought, or they get down to that COI level and they realize that they have a problem, and that's when the fire marshal's like, "Oh, here, by the way, we know of this company, Telgian. You should call them." So we want to be. That's what we say. We want to be brought in. We're most effective when we're brought in the beginning, and be able to talk through the whole design phase, work along with your MEP company, work along with the architect, and help you, kind of think outside the box and realize all the hazards that you may not have already looked at.
So are you guys doing a lot of the BIM modeling stuff then too, or?
We're starting to get into the BIM modeling. We're doing a lot of Revit modeling, where a lot of companies are, which is really neat in Revit, where all the practices are designing at the same time, so you can kind of see what's going on. So you're not guessing,
right.
And, you can see the design kind of in a live format. So that's been really neat to be a part of.
What landed you with consulting or engineering at Telgian?
At Telgian, it was kind of just luck. Our VP of the East and I are buddies. We went to school together at Oklahoma State.
Go Pokes.
Yep, go Pokes. So, they were looking for somebody that had some consulting experience, had, a different background that's not just fire protection. And it just kind of evolved quickly. It started with a dinner and said, hey, are you interested? And it's like, yeah, I am. Let's talk about it. And then like 2 months later, here I am.
So what led you up to that, though? What was your background prior?
So my background prior, I've got an engineering degree, Oklahoma State, fire and safety. I'm third generation oil and gas guy. Both grandparents worked. Parents, aunt and uncles. I started being a risk and safety manager out in West Texas for oil and gas companies, doing operations, doing safety management, risk management. That took me all over the world, into Europe and a couple of Asian countries. And then at that whole time, I'm still using my safety engineering, my risk, my fire protection, but on a different side of that, looking at what keeps people safe out on the job site and hopefully not spark fires. And then
slip strips, falls, plus ignition.
Yep. all those things that would make things go boom. Yeah. You're trying to keep that from happening. So then coming into risk consulting for insurance companies. So I'm looking at on the other side, what makes a good risk for our underwriters? What are they looking at? Like, what's a good exposure? What's a bad exposure? And helping those companies navigate through that, try to become better kind of in their processes and make sure that they're keeping their employees as safe as possible. So safety programs, auto programs, all that.
So do you do any acceptance testing or the inspection testing and maintenance side as well? Or
yeah, we have our consultants go out and help with punchwalks, acceptance testing, going out like as the project unfolds. We're going out and doing checks to make sure that installation's going correctly, and then at the end of it, we're going out and helping do those acceptance tests, make sure that everything goes correctly. If there's problems, let's dive into why those systems are failing and not passing.
So on the contractor end, it seems like we get involved even further into the process than on the consulting end, and hopefully we're having discussions with the building owner and of course the consulting and the AHJs. But it seems like you manage a lot of people, a lot of conversations. Do you have any recommendations on how you do that or effective ways? I
mean,
probably no secret recipe, right?
No, it's just talking through the whole process, like continual conversations that go on. What's going on the work site? What are they seeing? What's not working, or why? Hey, this is not lining up per the drawings, and why is that? So let's talk about that throughout the whole process.
And you said a challenge that's been coming up a lot is high pile, which seems like the last 10 years, high pile storage. Should it even further? 10, 20 years?
Yeah.
What is that the biggest challenge right now?
That's one of them. It's people are trying to. You've got these massive warehouses, the Amazons, the Walmarts of the world, and people are trying to store as much as they can, be as effective as they can, and get their products out the door. So you're putting a lot of different commodities in the same place, and not knowing that maybe some of those commodities shouldn't be in there, or trying to protect the building owner and the firefighters going in at some point, if there's a fire. So let's keep the damage as minimal as possible. Let's protect lives. Let's protect property.
How much are you seeing the ASRS systems going in, and how are you guys managing that? Since I know that's kind of a gray area that we're still doing a lot of research in, trying to figure out how to.
That's an evolving topic. As soon as they put out a standard or a code or on it, something's changed. I mean, these automatic retrieval systems are just incredible. When they came out 20, 30 years ago, people were like, man, how is that going to work? Right. And now you've got these systems that are, a million square feet. There's 700, 400, 800,000 of these bots running around picking up totes. They're, supposed to be, as explained to me, intuitive and figure out where to store things. Yeah, it's kind of
scary.
Real scary. When someone said it's intuitive and learns, I'm like, I'm out. I don't want to be in this.
You.
So you're trying to protect that as much as possible. They're supposed to be storing so much flammable liquids here, so much flammable aerosols in another area, and that just not going to happen all the time. So you're trying to design as best as possible. We're partnering up with companies to do some fire testing to see what the best way is to protect those. Because that's a lot of product in a huge space. And I personally, I don't want to have to go in there and fight that.
No, for sure.
I'd rather have a system in place that, knocks it down and then can get in afterwards.
So, and also on the tech side, I think it's really important to point out is this is not like it. This is where I start feeling old, man. Not like it used to be when I first started in the industry 10 years ago, where rack storage was fine. It based on what you changed and put in there, the racks were the racks. with your automatic sort of retrieval system, this big robotic vending machine, basically the tech industry is so large that they're all different.
Oh yeah, no one is the same. Like they're all different. They're all putting their tweak on there. I think the first one that I remember ever seeing is it was like the cube style where the bots like went in on top, picked something out, and moved it. Now you've got basically a warehouse that's 7 stories tall, and these bots can go in and out, move levels. I mean, it's like just looking like ants going all over the place.
Well, and some of the things we kind of used to be like, oh yeah, we've got that as an advantage to us in the warehouse. Oh yeah, we've got some big aisles because we've got to get forklifts in there. Now it's, hey, the aisles are barely big enough to get the boxes down.
If there are aisles.
Or if there are aisles. So, I mean, that's got to be a whole nother challenge of just like everything that we used to take for granted in those warehouses is kind of out the door now.
And some of the robots are now even picking the shelves up and bringing them places. So it's like, it's crazy.
It is. And then you're trying to design the system where it's not impeding those bots to come in. So how do you get the water? How do you design it to get the pipe in there where it's not, a bot's not going to run into it or knock the sprinkler head over? It's some of those are so fine tuned that if you move that box over like not even 1/4 of an inch, it doesn't know that it's there. So they're programming it to lift it up so many inches and then moving it out. So if you've got a sprinkler head in there, you don't want that thing knocking it off. And then you got, a massive amount of water coming at you in a split second, and all that product is damaged.
So the solution, though, we try to avoid it used to be, well, just put in racks in. That's not necessarily as easy as it used to be, I guess.
Right. I mean, you're looking at flue spaces. You're looking at head spacing. How many do you have to have it on every rack, or can you, put it on every two racks? And so there's a lot that goes into it now.
And the tolerances of the robots, are you also concerned with or adding extra bracing to make sure that if we are doing regular testing and we get a water hammer and it shifts the pipe, that could be a big issue?
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it nowadays than just a simple, just throw it in there, throw in racks, we'll be good.
In racks, they're always the solution.
So it's some of it can be handled with overhead, and some of it you're definitely putting in racks in.
What are some of your pinch points when working with contractors? And this is not necessarily the bashing session, right? We're not saying no.
No, I'm not here. No, absolutely not. Our pinch points are, don't be afraid to, once you see us on a set of plans, call us.
Right.
Ask us questions. We want you to engage with us. We want to ask those questions. So when you, if you don't understand the criteria that we put in, don't necessarily just change it to what you think it should be. Call us and let's talk through it. Let's make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah, I guess it's the first time that we kind of had this discussion on air, but one of the biggest things that I see in our industry is the lack of communication, right? And that's what I think is important for the contractors to understand. Anyone really is like, talk to us.
Right. We're not here to be the bad guy. We're not here to bash anybody. We just want to make sure that we're protecting the property correctly. We want to make sure we're protecting the people that are in there. And so let's have that open dialogue, like make sure that, we're on the same page. That way you get the design, understand the design, you install it correctly. When that fire marshal comes in to do the, last inspection and gives that sign off, it goes as smoothly as possible. So nobody wants that last minute, like, oh, you missed this, or why did you do it this way? Like, I don't understand that. So we're trying to go in and have those conversations with the AHA on the front end. So they know what we're putting in there, understand like why we designed it the way we did. Cause it may not necessarily, adhere to their local code. And so we've gone in and asked, hey, can we get a design variance? This is why we want to do it this way. And they're like, oh, okay, that makes perfect sense. Like, keep us up to date.
So I'll just keep kind of rolling through the different parties that are involved. What are your biggest pinch points with the AHJs and fire marshals?
I mean, for us, it's making sure that they don't necessarily understand what we're doing. We work, small cities, big cities. So, you go from an HJ that at the same time might be the local farmer, so he's not as well versed. So trying to make sure that we take the time to explain why we want to do it that way. And then on the bigger side, it's just getting in contact with the large municipalities. Like, they're dealing with a lot. They probably have more than they know what to handle, and they might only have 5 or 6 guys. And so trying to get in with them and take the time to explain why we're doing something, and even them, hey, this is a partnership. We want to make sure that we're, adhering to the local code. And that way, when our project gets kicked off and comes to, the final, you've already talked with us and understand. So there's not like, oh, you didn't tell me anything about that.
It's always awkward.
Yeah, that's like awkward silence. Like, yeah, man, we've been trying to get a hold of you for 6 months.
So it sounds like sometimes you're used to help develop maybe the owner certificate and that hazard analysis.
Yep.
What's your biggest pinch points, and how do you navigate talking with the owner? Because we're costing them a lot of money, right?
Right. Like we're trying to, we're a value add. We're trying to make sure that they understand, like, hey, we're in this with you to make sure that your timeline is adhered to, that you want to get open, you want to build, or you want to retrofit your building. For us, from the owner, we want to make sure that they're telling us everything that they're going to have. That there's no surprises when we go in there and do a walk around. Like, well, what's this tote in the corner? So we want to make sure that we understand their full process of what they've got in their building.
How it just seems. So do you plan or have the communication to plan for what's currently in the building, or are you looking long term with them?
We ask those questions, like, what is your long term goal here? Are you just trying to design to get you by right now, or do you want to get this design done where it allows you to expand? So it's having that conversation, like, what's the next couple of years look like for you? So we're trying to look ahead as well, because we don't want them to come back, well, you didn't tell me I would have to redo this in 5 years and cost me another $1 million.
Only $1 million?
I mean, that's just an example. So, so a lot of these owners, they get into, they're moved from one building to a new building, and they don't realize, like, hey, what's the what are they zoned for? What's the building hazard code? What's what can they have or what can't they have? They're just like, that building's bigger, I need to get in there. They don't even look at the fire protection system until it's an afterthought, and the fire marshal comes like, guys, this isn't going to work.
Yeah, then they see that $1 million mark too.
Yeah,
what do you mean?
They're like, oh,
this is not a couple grand change order here.
Yeah.
So besides high pile storage, is there anything that you're concerned with as technology, or any other hazards that are just kind of giving you a headache?
No, I mean, the plastics, the ever expanding. Ever expanding. I mean, that's a big one for us. The other one is, trying to, we get into, electric cars.
Oh, yeah. Good old EVs.
Yeah, the EVs. So how that's another one of those code is just changing daily on that. So jurisdictions, and
hydrogen's on its way too.
Yeah, I mean, you've got natural gas cars. Yeah. You've got there's big push for natural gas, like 18-wheelers in some jurisdictions.
You got a 16-year-old that needs to drive with them. That's scary.
Yeah. So I mean, so it's how do you protect that? What's the understanding there? So that's another one that we're, continually trying to keep up up with, so the ever push, there's more push to go to EVs and vehicles. There's more push long haul trucks. So, how do you protect those buildings if there is an electric fire? I mean, electricity and water doesn't necessarily mix. So, so you see the use of the blankets and stuff like that, but that's not necessarily what can happen in a building. So,
right.
So I feel like that kind of opens up into the just greater lithium-ion battery challenge that we're having across the board, right? It's not even just limited to the EVs, but it's a lot
the scooters that you roll around here.
I wish. Yeah. But the scooters or the the mobility devices.
Well, the mobile battery storage, that they're taking to buildings if there's a power outage or something like that. So I mean, it's you see it popping up everywhere.
You said you work and do some testing. At what point do you say, hey, we need to kind of test this and figure this out?
I mean, you have a lot of companies that are putting in these automatic retrieval systems. They're trying to, there's new technology coming out. So trying to recognize like, hey, this doesn't fit the code. So, let's go and do some fire testing to see how we can best protect this, hazard that you're wanting to put in these buildings, because the code doesn't necessarily, speak directly to it.
Outside the scope of NFPA 13, right?
Area in the code. What?
So
never happened.
Right. So, I mean, we do a lot of performance-based design. So let's go and take a look at it. What works and what doesn't work. So just because we go and test something and figure out it doesn't work, that's not a bad thing. That just tells us, okay, this design doesn't necessarily work for this application. So let's tweak it and figure out what does work.
So what are some of the benefits and some of the hindrances of performance-based design?
I mean, the great thing is you're designing specifically for that hazard. Of course, the hindrance is then you take that performance-based design and go to the local AHJ and say, hey, can we do this? Are you willing to sign off? Here's our testing data. Here's what we know. Here's what we've seen. Are you okay with this?
So the
talking through, helping them understand where you're coming from, being an advocate for your customer.
So it's got to be not much different than trying to convince the wife to let you go play golf for the weekend, right?
Right. It's the hey sweetheart, I haven't been hunting in 6 months. Can I disappear for 3 weeks? So there's a give and take. So like, what do we got? What do we got going on? Can I skip out for 6 hours?
Absolutely not. The kids are too busy.
Right. Well, now my kids are old enough. It's like you got to take one with you.
Yeah.
So
fun.
Yeah. It's. I mean, my oldest is now he's able to go out and play some golf.
Yeah.
And, without me worried about him shooting me or the dog or something. So it's fun that way.
Yeah, for sure.
So doing more of the performance-based design than I think a lot of people listening have maybe had the ability or the chance to do. Is there any projects that come to mind that were just like really neat, really kind of opened your eyes to, this was a really cool, we went outside the box and
I mean, we've done a bunch. I don't have that firsthand experience. I mean, a lot of these performance-based designs, when we get into these large warehouses, you're seeing popping up with the big manufacturers, the big shipping companies. That's where we've, I've looked at some designs from like, wow, that's way different than what I learned in school, what we looked at,
right.
20 years ago. Like, I'm kind of dating myself now. So, I mean, from what we learned in school and then from what we're designing to now, I mean, it's night and day. It's, I don't think anybody thought they would see the industry go, or these massive 1 million square foot warehouses that there's hardly any people in there because it's all automatic retrieval systems,
right.
So that's been cool to see how that's progressed and how those designs work.
Right.
So just kind of, and I think the industry is seeing this, just curious on the consulting side of life. Do you have any like internal struggles in terms of getting designers or maybe some of these consultants? Is there, do you have the same issues with how many people we have coming in versus our workload?
Well, absolutely. I mean, you see, even the President Bob talked about in I think your all's first podcast, like the people that are graduating, coming out of the fire protection programs, are not as many as that are retiring. So you've got a gap. So where do you find people in the industry to do that? Is it we obviously can use mechanical engineering has the same background as fire protection, so there's some of that same base knowledge, and then we train them to it. Some of it's getting kids coming out of high school, that are not necessarily going to go to college, but they go get a vocational degree, which is just as good. There's
For sure.
some minor programs around the country that are 2-year associate's degree, and it's finding those guys, get them and gals, and getting them interested in what we do. Recruiting's a huge, hindrance across the board, either designing or consulting. So because everybody's going after those same people. So those, for one student coming out of college, there might be 5 or 6 people going, and it's not just trying to get them to come into the fire protection design. The safety culture, consulting world, property risk companies are going after those same students. So it's a battle.
And it seems like it's a unique skill set in comparison, right? I mean, if I don't know, my son gets into sprinklers, there's a good chance that they're very sprinkler oriented people. You're looking at a little bit of everything.
Right.
How do you keep up or train somebody to start to take in more, maybe things they don't think about on a regular basis?
I mean, you expose them to get them that base knowledge, get them that, understanding the codes, understanding what they're looking at. And then as things come up, you have them look at different scenarios, making sure that you're having them work on different projects, talking about leaning on the people in our company that have been around for 20 or 30 years that have seen a lot of different things, having internal trainings to keep up with that, going to trade shows, talking, being involved with SFPE, local ASFA. Don't just put yourself in a box. Make yourself always keep learning.
How important are site visits, and how often can you get out to the site? Because it seems like there's a lot of moving parts and pieces. You're talking to a lot of different people.
Oh yeah, I mean site visits in the initial surveys are, just 100% got to get out there. Got to put your hands on it. It helps for us understand what's out there and see the hazards, and then going in 50% where installs and seeing how the install's going forward, and then going in on the 100% punch walk and being involved in that process. So being there, seeing what's going on. Hey, maybe there's a hazard that came up that didn't necessarily show itself on the design or architect portion of it. So being out there allows you to see what's going on.
So you've mentioned architect a few times too. What are those conversations like? What are those pitch points on the consulting end?
I mean, for us, it's having them understand what our value add to them is, being involved on the front end. Like, hey, this is a really cool design, but you're causing more harm than good the way that this is going to end up. So
your work is gorgeous, but
yeah, this is beautiful. It looks amazing, but what happens if that burns? How do we protect that? How do we, get the smoke out of it? You've got this massive atrium, and so now you're getting into smoke control. And a lot of people don't realize they even have to have smoke control, or they have to have stairwell pressurization. So
right. Those are very inexpensive systems too.
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing worse than coming in at the end like, oh, you should have a stairwell pressurization, or you need smoke control. Like, the building's already up. What do you mean I got to put in another massive system to keep this building safe?
How can consultants help contractors navigate budget constraints without compromising the safety Because that's another thing is it all costs money, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we want to look at the system that is going to provide the best protection and the most cost effective. You know, do you need a Cadillac system, or do you need like just a normal system that's going to protect? You know, you don't want.
I feel like that's a jab at my Honda Fit.
You know, like you know, there's some companies that, hey, I want the latest and greatest because my property insurance company is going to give me you know, a rebate on the back end because I have designed above and beyond. You know, but not everybody needs that. You know, so let's understand what you need, how to best, you know, achieve the goal that you're trying to get to.
So to wrap up, is there anything that you'd like, any other talking points or anything that comes to mind? Maybe let contractors or any of our listeners know.
I mean, just don't be afraid to call up the design company that, you know, the consultant company that's working with, know who all is on the project, and call them and say, we're here to help.
Call,
you know?
Not email.
Yeah. Call us. Don't necessarily just send me an email or send my designer an email. You know, pick up the phone. Like, I think we've lost that
for sure.
A lot of like, hey, just pick up the phone. Well, I sent them an email. Like, who knows if your email, you know, got bounced back, got thrown into a junk folder. You know, maybe that person's been out on vacation for a week.
Right.
And if it's that important, pick up the phone.
You get
and
a
call.
week vacation?
Man, I might go on vacation, but it's working vacation. I only know working vacations. Yeah. You know, I have my phone on 24/7. I tell people, if you really need to talk to me, call me.
Yeah.
Don't just send me an email. I will pick up the phone, leave me a voicemail, and I will call you back.
And there's that relationship building that helps get things done too, that happens through phone calls and talking.
Absolutely.
Not email.
Like, let's talk about it. If we're going to work on multiple projects, like, hey, I'm going to be in town. Let's go grab some lunch. Let's have that face-to-face interaction. We've lost that too. Teams meetings, all that, you know, has kind of put us back a little bit. Yeah. I think I miss that face-to-face interaction.
For sure. For sure. Well, really appreciate you coming onto the podcast, and look forward to maybe some future conversations that we have with you or Telgian.
Absolutely.
And,
yeah. Hopefully next time I come on, Oklahoma State football's in a little bit better space.
Goodness,
I mean, we didn't even scratch the surface. We didn't even talk about that. We could be here for like 5 hours. We wanted to talk about football.
Yeah, I don't know how we can really say much to the Maryland grads after the season that we had football and sports wise.
I mean, you know, they revamped it, so all new coaches basically.
We'll
so
see.
fingers crossed. We you know,
I'll drink the rebuild juice. It's fine.
There we go. There we go. Absolutely.
How about those Aggies though, Nate?
Oh, hold on now.
Hold
on now.
Probably a good way to end it.
At least we made it to the postseason.
I mean. Right, but I mean, at least we're both Aggies. I mean, A&M, Oklahoma State Aggies, like that's our original, you know.
I'll take your stretch, Phil. Yeah. Well, really appreciate it, and
absolutely, man, this has been awesome.
Listen in, and all the platforms. We're up and running all the platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. Can't forget that one. And what's the one that you Android user listening to over there?
A Podcast Addict.
Podcast Addict. So,
never heard of that one.
No, never. I don't think anyone except for him has. But anyway, no. We appreciate you tuning in. This has been the K Factor Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share wherever you tune in to podcasts. Or head over to our website for more. Reach out to us anytime at technical@firesprinkler.org. Stay safe and always learn as we keep the fire protection conversation going.